if it was your job to go into SNS and design a system, all right, Bruce, I'll ask you this to say, hey, if Dylan from Upstate wants to order 24 shirts with a DTF print on it, write out the process. It doesn't seem that complicated. DTF prints come out, they meet the shirts, they get heat pressed, put in a box. It's like, it just takes an extra day. Feels like it could be a really easy value add for them to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem super. Now, if it was ship it individually, okay, now you're a fulfillment center and those kind of things. But like slapping, DTF prints on a shirt and shipping them out, I feel like they do harder things than that. Doesn't seem that hard.
I think that's true until you get to the scale that they're at with, how they're shipping, their turnaround time, the amount of people, the amount of orders they're handling. I mean, imagine $4 billion in blanks, basically. Let's just call it, let's just ignore the decorating part. Let's just call it in blanks. Like how many blank shirts is that picked, packed, shipped out, all the logistics around it, the warehousing, like the scale to get it quickly to wherever you're at and be able to route the orders correctly. My mind explodes even thinking about, I mean, have you seen that AS Color video that guy did on YouTube where they toured AS Color's facility? There's robots like picking boxes off and pulling stuff and bringing it to the front and everything.
I was going to say that's how it was. I visited SNS in Jersey, and it was insane.
All robotic.
Yeah, there was like so much.
I mean,
automation.
Yeah, I spent a day at Printful, which is true POD on demand, sublimation, embroidery, DTF, and the problems that they're solving are just light years ahead of the problems we're solving. So it's like I don't think a $4 billion company is going to figure out how to do it. And I think to your point, Dylan, it turned this into more agents or brokers, which that might be okay. I don't know.
Dylan, you talked about downsizing, like, thinking it through. Would you do that, Andy, at Shirkong, to a point where you felt either lifestyle wise was better to manage or easier to manage, or, I mean, obviously in Cole's story, it was more profitability.
You're saying downsizing, screen printing, and growing, just outsourcing ADT.
Yeah, outsourcing more. I'll just say it more in general, and then obviously you could pick what those shorts have been sitting there. I'm sure there's other things that are sitting there, or things that you don't want to do, or larger stuff that ties stuff up for too long, or.
I don't know. That's an interesting question. I think that
or people, I think that's the other problem too, is like managing more and more people. Is a difficult exercise.
And like, I'm not downsizing. I'm just saying, like, the thought of it more and more with the way things are changing. And that was the discussion I had with TC the other day. It was just kind of like, things are changing so rapidly now than they ever have. Like, being a screen printer for 15 years, it was kind of autopilot for the most part. It was like, this is the formula to like get a customer, print the shirt, send it out. I feel like the last 5 years has all been like, all right, I'm going to pivot to doing this kind of outbound. Okay, I'm going to pivot to now we're doing DTF. And okay, now we're going to do, send this. It's like, it's every other fucking 6 months we're thinking of a new strategy to run this business.
I think the mindset shift is, we sometimes scale our businesses up to the peaks and the valleys. Like, if you looked at the industry 5 years ago, when we hit a peak, we went out and bought more equipment and hired more people. Go to the trade show, I'm slammed, I need to buy a new press, I need to buy more embroidery machines, whatever. And then the valleys hit and we're like, oh crap, we can't afford to have this. Shoot, I probably should have scaled back and outsourced, right? Now, we still want those peaks of business, but we're not going out and buying more stuff. We're just finding other solutions. So we're like running our business to the valleys so that when the peaks hit, that's gravy versus a stressful time. And I think like that's the mindset shift that the industry is taking, which sucks for the equipment manufacturers right now. I would not want to be them.
Yeah. Which I think ties into, sorry, Andy, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I thought that needed to be said before it kind of went into what you wanted to talk about today. Like basically that leads into, at what point do you fight the game and then you figure out, hey, this is what I want to do? So you want to tie into that?
Yeah, I think like, honestly, we could make just this discussion about SNS an entire episode. Like we're already halfway in, it's like, there's just so much to say about it. And there's so much to speculate, it's a very interesting move and I think it really does affect our industry. I mean, Stephen said a minute ago about prices, and so what is that? It's not a monopoly, but there are fewer and fewer distributors. And so I think that, there are benefits to it, but it's fascinating and we could really just probably keep going for a half hour. But if you wanted to talk about,
I'm just glad it was them. You know what I mean? I'm glad it's them that's growing.
The good guy, they're all great people. San Martin, SNS, I have a great amount of respect for both companies, but like SNS does do things a little different. They still run that company like a family business, or at least it feels like it. So like, I'm genuinely happy that it was them that way rather than, Alpha acquiring SNS.